Hey guys, and welcome back to Roblox scripting tutorial number 4, which is of course on the expert series. So this time we have obviously strings. See here, the title, all kind of. So I'm gonna just zoom in and first probably have a question. Why is it after like table manipulation? Yeah, it will be string manipulation. So the answer is because I think that's not script, but string. It has a lot more functions, as you can see, obviously, than table, for example. Because if you see here, yeah, there are a lot less functions. Well, at least twice as less. Well, I think, not sure. So let's start it. So first we have a couple of functions, string dot byte and dot char. So both of them are pretty similar. Also later in the video I'll show you something practical, no spoiler though. You'll have to see it, or you can skip it if you want. But yeah, I'll show it later. So standard byte. First we can just do like that. Well, let's just set up something. For example, local str or something equals something that we'll write right here. So yeah, and str like that. So let it just be like hey, what's up, and we'll probably keep it for all the functions. So this just would convert this string into like a lot of numbers, or maybe not a lot of numbers. Well, you will see. So as you can see, it's 72, and it will always be 72. As you can see, it's 72, and that's because it's kind of encoding the data actually, or the string, if you can call it. It just converts it into bytes, or as the wiki says, it converts into SCII numbers. This ASCII, or wherever you pronounce it. So if you want to add more arguments, it actually takes 3 arguments. First one is I, which is usually a number. The number you start to, so let's just make it 1, and the third argument would be j, which is the end, and the I, default I is 1, and default j is I, so also 1. For example, you can just also set a custom one, and it will also work. So it just converts this number into a string of bytes. String into numbers. If that makes sense. It converts a string into a string of bytes. Yeah, it's like that. And you can just set the amount of bytes you want, and it can encrypt it somehow. It just returns the value of characters. But for example, if you set 190, it doesn't do more than that, because there is not 190 characters. So these ones are actually optional, obviously. But you can just make both of them 1, and it will only return one of those bytes. But if you can see, it's first one is 72 always. So yeah, and I know this is sometimes useful, well, as I said, for encrypting your data into bytes or something secretive. So now let's just I might just take this this thing and copy it like that. I could just press Ctrl C, but whatever. So this is the encrypted stuff. Now we are gonna decrypt it. So I can just change this to char or jar. So yeah, and then you would want to do the backwards thing. So it would be doing this pretty much, but you need a comma under every single one. So be right back. Okay, let's try to run this. And as you can see, it decrypted my message. Oh, it's probably a pretty bad encryption if you ask me. But you can create a code or something encoded if you want with those two functions. You just convert, or for some reason if some function or stuff only takes numbers, you can convert it into numbers, maybe save it and then return it back. I know maybe it's sometimes good for hackers that want to take your stuff, although they could probably decrypt it, So enough cryptography, if I can call this, maybe, I don't know. Oh yeah, also this is not also one known, this is not very compatible with other platforms. For example, if you use like phone and computer, and those numbers could mean different things. So another function will be a bit interesting. Let's just choose the right thing, string, and another is dump. We are gonna dump it into a trash can or something. Still will be pretty weird. So first you want function, yes. Function, call it like func or something like that. It doesn't matter. So yeah, like that, and yeah, you will want to do like that, like print without those things, I think. Hello, how are you, something like that. And yeah, you probably noticed it's something weird about this. You don't use those brackets or something. Yeah, weird. So now you would need to write like let's just call this as equals string dot dump this function, not func. Yeah, weird. And then just print it, and then I'll then explain it. So let's run it and see what it shows me. Now this weird symbol, it's always the same one. Always returns the same thing, I think. So let me just explain it. This thing that dump function, it was used before to use like load strings to load your stuff from external sources. Also, it's only used in Studio, that's why it's you can just load your file and it would use this function somehow. I don't know, I haven't made those scripts that use this function or something. I don't think there is much use of it. I don't know if you can use it for a lot of reasons, well, just because it's only used in Studio. So yeah, let's move on then. Another function is string.find. String.find. You can find it here, no pun intended. So as you can see, it has as pattern init and plain. So you can always just read this, or I can just explain you. So yeah. So first we gonna print it just for example. I know it's not very practical to print everything, but it is the easiest way to show you things. Well, assuming we are in text. So yeah, we will want to do string.find thing like that, and then first argument is the string that you will want to find, or the string that you want to find something in it. So for example, we can use the str thing like that, and then another thing is the pattern. And I think I mentioned something in previous tutorial about patterns. I'm gonna show you something interesting, but later. There is a whole section, for example, in Roblox wiki about it. As I said, those %d things, or dots, or I don't know, %v's, something like that. It's pretty interesting and useful. So yeah, as you can see, we have this thing. For example, if I want to find at like this part, it will find me. Yeah, as you can see, it says 7 and 11. So what exactly does that mean? So first, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including spaces, of course, 6, 7. So that's the beginning, right? And then from that, 8, 9, 10. Wait, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, right. So that's the starting point, and that's the end point. So I think it was pretty simple actually. This is one of the more useful ones, because you can do a lot of things with it. And I'll show you an example at the end of the video. We are just gonna move on. Alright, so next one is length. It's pretty simple, come on. Just super simple. And it's short for length, so it just returns, if you want to call it, or shows you how long is the string. Because for some reasons you may not be able to use the hashtag thing. Yeah, as you can see, string is 15 symbols or characters long, so all of this. Also, this is exactly the same as writing the hashtag, exactly the same. It also returns 15. Okay, here's an easy one. The string.lower just makes everything lowercase. Yeah, as you can see right here, pretty simple. Just makes everything lowercase. And now there is another one which is upper. Yeah, there is lower, there is upper. So it just makes everything uppercase. Okay, so here's another one, string.match. It's something maybe similar to string.find, but it works differently. It returns something. So first we have a string again, and another argument would be, well, again, the thing that you want to search. So for example, you can use something like that. For example, I want to get this part, but I don't need this. So you would just write e, and then percent lowercase w. Yeah, it has to be lowercase w because uppercase w does something different. I'll show you it later. So yeah, alright, here's the interesting one, string.format. So what it does, it just converts something. First it uses this as a template. Where should you put your stuff? Whoops. And it formats, it converts the values to strings. for example, in this case we have like this %C, and this number would work like an all code. You know those all codes. For example, if you write like alt and 1 to 4, you would get this thing. That would be the same as pressing the I guess just a backslash and then shift. You would get the same thing. Yeah, as you can see. So apparently lead means 9. Okay, I didn't know that apparently. So 1, I think it's a smiley face. Yeah, as you can see. Well, it's kind of looks like a smiley face, but it looks more like a 0. And you can also put them into like in the middle of text, for example, like that %C. Yeah, as you can see, it inserted it. Okay, here's an interesting one, or at least annoying one. String that rep. So it just repeats this thing, this string, which also can be a variable, obviously. This amount of time. So just see what it does. Yeah, isn't that a bit annoying, don't you think? There is another one, a bit cryptic one, or just for encryption maybe, or I don't really know where else would you use it. So yeah, it just reverses obviously the string. As you can see, it just creates something like that. You could use it for like as an option to write this in the chat or something maybe. Although I don't know why would you do that. So here's string.sub, or there's also gsub. I'll talk about this later. So string.sub returns the value that is between I symbol, like it's 1 2 3 I, and the J, which is between this and this. So it's I don't really know how to explain, but we just write 3. Yeah, as you can see, it just printed only this part. I think this part. So yeah, it might be useful for something, for like cutting off strings and manipulating them. Okay, here's an interesting one for you again. So it's string.gmatch, but for this one you need to use for loop. So you need to write obviously for or something like that. N, and that's not pairs. That's not pairs. That's in string.gmatch, which is as you saw, it's this string, so it will be str, and s means string, yes, and then pattern. So there are a lot of patterns that you write it in strings, and you can write either percent something or dot, which means anything pretty much. So yeah, so for example, well, I can mention it now. So %b is any alphanumeric character, so it's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and uppercase version of them, and numbers or digits 0 to 9. So you know, it would be that, and %a would be uppercase or lowercase letter. So I'm gonna just write it like that, and if you write plus, it's now I'll explain later, but now let's get back to this function. You would also need to write do, obviously. So for word in string.gmatch, so what it does, it just matches it, you know, with this or this pattern, which is any like letters, any letter, so or either lowercase or uppercase, and it would match it, and then loop right here and then do something with it, and do it again until this. do it again. Well, you get the point. So yeah, we want obviously to print it, otherwise it pretty much would be useless. And see, hey, what? It's up. Yeah, because as I said, it only matches those letters. Yeah. But if I write, for example, dot plus, it would just take anything. I think it would take everything, every single of this, and it would repeat only once. Yeah, as you can see. Okay, so this one is pretty cool one. So it's G sub, as I told you. It's used like sub. It just subtracts, like it takes this place, but it's used for replacing some parts of strings. So yeah, as you can, as mentioned, it's pretty cool one. This is how you would use it. You'll need a couple more arguments, well, 3 to be exact. So first is the string that you use it on. Another one is the portion of word that you want to replace. So it would be, for example, I choose up, and another one would be down, also exclamation mark replaced with a question mark, and see what it happens or what it does. As you can see, just made like this. Okay, never mind. Let's try to change like this. Well, I'll have to use those other strings, quotation marks. Use the space and is. As you can see, it just changed. What is up? Alright, now let's try something a bit more complicated. Yeah, I mentioned there are patterns, so we're gonna use them because it's pretty useful for those for this exact reason.